So looking at this, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be fun? Like now looking at, I did this a long time ago as an idea. Do I want to go ahead and use this for a workshop? I'm thinking I want to separate some of these things a bit more. When it comes to the colors I choose, I do, it's really pretty and intuitive to see if it's something I like. Now I'm not going to use too much color, so it's really not going to matter. And I also know that my Hansa yellow, my Indian yellow, and my quinacridone magenta in the Winsor Newton brand will work well together. It won't get dull. Now, I do like my permanent alizarin crimson, but I've seen too many people end up with a little muddy color. So I try to steer students away from it a little bit. Now, I really don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to do something. Now, I'd like to push this back. This is fine. We've got some different colors in here. And where do I want to start? I'm going to start right here. So I'm taking my 30, testing the surface right here as far as looking at the sizing. You can't really see the sizing. It's already moved really, but what I want to see is, am I able, you can't even see, let's see if I can get this. Do I have a little bead of water on here? Like maybe you can see that little line there. Now, depending on the paper I'm using, sometimes I can't get that. So I just wanted to test the surface. Okay, that's a little bit of pink. That's fine. That's the quinacridone magenta. I'm taking the Indian yellow there. That's too strong, not enough water. Then I'll take my Hansi or the quinacridone magenta right there. Because since I've been working, and actually I'm wearing this color today, so I'm in the mood to work with that. By doing this, I'm looking at the color and then trying to decide the amount of water that I want to use. Okay. And that is too orange. I don't like it. I want a little more pink in there. I'm really basically just painting with a little tinted water, not much color. And I want to push these back. I just wanted to spice it up a little bit. And the other thing is thinking, all right, so you've got the blue on the bottom, and I am coming in with some of these colors that could easily create a problem and turn into mud, especially with the orange on top of a blue. But instead of thinking of it as mud, I could say, oh, that's more neutral. Okay, so I just lifted a little bit out of the yellow out there, and I know it's going to dry lighter. Now I like how that has pushed back away from this. And let's see, I'm looking for a paper towel. There we go. Now I like that little bit of color there. All right, so now if I put something here, I really need to work on everything. This is going to be the problem because I have a lot of shadow up here. So I'll come to that in, I'm thinking, do I want to wait? Let's just work our way around. I'm going to work wet on dry. You can see this big puddle here. I like that little bit of lavender. I don't want the orange so much. So what I'm doing is going to work with a combination of these two colors, plus I'll work with them separately. All right, let's take a little pink. Knowing those are my shadows, those are my stamens. I'm going to go right in between these. And I'm using the 20, and I don't want it too orange. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, this is going to go all the way up here. Okay. Just do a little bit. Basically, what I'm trying to show you is that you don't need to worry or be scared or afraid. Just work with what you've got. Okay, so here's my little paper towel that we were talking about. What I'm doing is softening the edge and removing the extra water, so I'm not just brushing back and forth and adding more water into it. Okay, maybe I'll add a little water there. Remove the color and the water that's what I'm doing. Okay, so it's very subtle. Let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit more, just for fun. And then by doing this, I'll need to adjust. I'll need to think about the background, but I'm not quite there in my mind, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, these are the colors that I used to really use a lot of. The French, well, I do. I love the French ultramarine blue burnt sienna. But now if I'd approach it, maybe I would even consider the Windsor blue red shade, perhaps. I'd have to think about that. All right, so I'm liking how these two have worked out. That also, to me, shows it popping out much more. Now let's go ahead and go up here. And since I'm adjusting the petals, remember I have to work my way around to all of them. I'm gonna just go ahead and see if I can scoot something over. I'm gonna try to do this in a way that I can use it again later for you. Okay. Let's do this here and the same idea. I'm going to go over my shadows. Sorry about all of this, everyone. I'm just trying to, that'll work. Okay, great. I'm going to use a little bit of color in here because I used to think, okay, that's done, but it just looked incomplete for me. So this is also why I don't attach the paper to a board, so I can remove it. So again, Virginia, thinking about you, dipping the brush in the water, removing the excess. I'm doing this, so I'm not bringing in too much water. What I've also noticed, like what you had there was a very loose painting, as we discussed. What I like now is a combination of the loose and the controlled together, even in one painting. All right, so before I turn that around, what I'm going to do is, now this is a little bit of a problem. Actually, let's look at it this way. All right, I like how this is going in. This to me is a bit of a problem. How am I going to handle it? Just because I liked it at the time, but now I think, oh, it's a little too blue. So what can I do with this? I think I was just going to come in and glaze over it, but I think I'm going to come in with water down into here. Let's see if I can use maybe, is this, do I even care about this? Do I need to lift any of the color out? I'm using a damp magic eraser. And the why I'm doing this is I thought maybe I'm going to soften that edge. Just a little bit, why not? That way I don't have a hard line. Also, the other thing is that I think of every painting as an experiment. So you don't get too stuck in what you should and shouldn't do. Okay, now that blue is really dark and I've got some darker ones here. I'm going to work with it. I could be carefully lift some of the color out. And if I did that, then this is going to be damp. So do I want to wait that long? No. So I'm going to go ahead, take my quinacridone magenta. I'll take a little bit of my Windsor Violet Dioxazine. Thinking about the colors that we have here, I might take some of my Indian yellow. I'm going to see if this works. I'm taking it in here. So it becomes more neutral. It's within this range. Now I know I should lift more of that color out, but we're going to go ahead and just see if we can just shift it. So I'm going right over it. So instead of mixing the color in the palette, I'm basically mixing it or layering it. Okay, I like that color better. Thinking about that, I decided I don't think I want that controlled shadow there. Can I change it? Maybe what I can do is go between these. And what I'm also trying to show you is that you don't need to throw everything away if you feel that it's not working. We can adjust our paintings. And I'm trying to carry the color a little further into the center. I'm going to see if I like that. I honestly feel like the mad scientist right now. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow. That's just because I think that's pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the center. Now, this might be way too much, but I know that it was really, in my mind, boring before. So I'm taking the 30, removing the extra water. I'm not sure if I want that line to move out a little further, so I just pulled it out. Okay, I like that much better. At least I like it much better upside down, so we'll see. And then when you have something upside down too, you're not looking at it, your mind isn't registering it logically, it's more abstract. So it can help you find the shapes. I had too much color in my brush here. So what I just did is I had more of the Indian yellow and I put the quinacridone magenta into it. That was fine, but you can see I'm using the same colors, but the ratio is different. And I don't like that because I had too much of the yellow. So I need to scoot it over to the side. Same colors, just a little different. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that up into this area. Okay, let's take a look at that. Now it's still strong and it's still strong, but it's limited here. So now I would adjust in some of these other areas. We need to do that. That is too dark all by itself. Does anybody have a question for me as I'm doing this? Or does anybody have a comment? Okay, see, this is light. Looking at this, that's not going, I don't think that's going to work the way I want it to, or the way it was. So I need to adjust it. So I'm going to come right in here. What I see is my brush is basically skipping over the surface of the paper, and that has to do with the sizing. Working wet on dry.
Brigitte, this is Gay. I just want to comment. When I see you moving your paper around, it's so good because it helps me remember to move the painting around because you see things from a different area, a different perspective, and it really helps you not get locked in.
Exactly. Exactly. Also looking at this too, this is okay, but I don't like how choppy it is, you know? And I'm thinking if I want to bring that more into the center, I think maybe I'm going to do something else. It's not really something else. I want to try to tie it together so that doesn't stand out too much. Try to pull it in. And some colors escaped up there, which is okay. I can always deal with that later. And this one, I mean, there is no plan with this. I'm just making it up as I go along. So if you're wondering what in the world is she doing, I have no clue. I'm working with what I see on the paper. And I'm looking for my shapes. Basically, what I'm looking for are my shapes and what do I want to pull forward and push back. That is the plan, if I need a plan. Okay, I'm trying to, like, if you notice in this area, if I have water, if I leave that alone, that pigment's going to stay there. So what I'm going to try to do is pull that up a little bit more. Okay. So I like the colors on that better. I'll need to lift that out. I know it's time to head out. I need to take more time to actually just kind of clean this up, just like that. And we've got, I like how that is starting to look now. And I'm going to just do this very quickly, I think, because we can see we just need to pull a few petals together. And then I'll run over to the other meeting. I'm going to go ahead and get some water in here. And I'll scoop up some of this color, just trying to go a little quicker. Now that could be a little too neutral for you. That could be a little too brown. It has some of that red and all that into it. But it's going to work. So here I'm taking those colors and we're just going to pull that right up here. And let's see, take a 30. I think I should pull that a little further. So before I go to the other meeting, I'm just trying to do these couple petals. Okay, so I think that's, to me, I think it's pretty interesting, but it doesn't take much to entertain me. I think that should go darker there. I'll deal with that later. Let's fix this because I like all the variations of the different colors in here. I might go a little darker in that area. I'm going to look at what I already have and I'm going to just add a little more color on top of it. This is wet on dry because I'm going to soften it instead of the whole. If you can see what's happening right here, it is doing some weird stuff, and that's because of the paper. So instead of me being really disappointed and upset, again, I'm just working with it. So I'm just going to soften a few of those edges. Actually, I'll switch over this. That's a little too much color. Because now with that sizing, it ended up turning into a bit of a struggle for me. So I'm just going to lift this out, move it over. Okay, I just need the surface to be damp. Then I'm going to use the 30. I'm really flattening that to retrieve my whites. Okay, that has a lot more shape. And what I could do is actually then go into the center. There still needs to be some adjusting, but this is enough to give you the idea how we can continue to work with it. And I might have a different opinion later. I like that idea. I might bring it down in here. I'd go a little darker there. I might go a little bit more up there. So there, and then I'll readjust the background. I need to work in the center. That's too flat. I need to sink that into the flower. And for now, that really should cover what we've got. I could even turn it into a rubrin lily, if I could say it right, rubrin lily, by just adding a few little dots in there.